Hi, welcome to the Two Schmoes Show. I'm Miss Orion, and I am God's favorite sick patient right now because I was sick for 2 weeks, got off 2 weeks, now I'm back to being sick.
I'm Cairo. I'm also a schmo.
Someone fucking hates me. Welcome to the Two Schmoes Show. How are you doing today, Kyril?
Not too shabby. It's been a weird week. It's been a frustrating week, but getting by, right?
One step at a time.
How's things with you? Other than
I'm
being
sick.
sick.
Yeah. I can't really complain, all things together. Yeah, I'm pretty good. Other than that, I mean, Easter next week, I can finally be off this Lent crisis.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, did I
And
tell you what I
I
did for
I
Lent?
no.
I gave up all coffee creamers and sweeteners.
Oh, wow.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just having
Yeah, I can
withdrawals.
imagine. I don't drink coffee, but that's because it's bitter and awful in the first place. And I'd imagine that's the kind of stuff that you'd have to add to make it palatable.
If you're not good at coffee, yes. I've gotten a lot better at making coffee since I started this Lent.
That's good.
It's like a survival instinct, you know?
Hmm.
I may be sick and I may be wanting to die, but I can tell you I'm still doing a whole lot better than the Ghostbusters right now.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, obviously, Frozen Empire, it's not doing too hot, but the couple of reviews that I've seen for it were like generally positive. I'm
I'm
kind of surprised that
convinced.
it's so negative.
I'm convinced that all like credibility it has is
Hmm.
trumped immediately by any nostalgia for any Ghostbuster fans out there.
I guess, yeah, and that's always the problem, right? That the first Ghostbusters movie is so good that any sequel that comes out afterwards, that exists partly just to make a sequel off of something popular is going to be worse just by default. But I don't know. It's odd.
Personally, I could live without all the Ghostbusters movies except for one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Tell me,
Ghostbusters 2016, right?
yes. I mean, girl power. Am I right,
Yeah,
fellow females?
and everyone claps.
I've never seen Ghostbusters 2016.
Mm.
Is it any good?
No, I haven't seen it either. I have not seen any of them other than the original,
So,
which I feel like is the correct choice.
the one thing I know about Ghostbusters 2016, right?
Yeah,
The final boss, the big bad, is the Ghostbusters logo ghost.
that's very silly.
Yeah, that's the one part I cannot get behind.
I should see the what was it called? The Ghostbusters Afterlife at some point. Because I did hear, that the trailer for it looks fun, right? Maybe not necessarily good, but fun. Just, a good sort of lighthearted action movie.
I don't know.
But
Everything I've seen about Afterlife just took itself way too seriously.
maybe, maybe that's true. The main thing that seems to get lost with all of the sequels is that the first movie is so popular because it's not actually about ghosts. It's a dry comedy about people starting a business.
Really, it's like it's the American entrepreneur story,
Yeah.
just stupidly overblown.
It's like the first two-thirds of the runtime is mostly like there's obviously ghost stuff, but there's just as much like advertising and dealing with not getting any phone calls.
You know, what would be a better way of like rebooting Ghostbusters?
What's that?
You make them. It's set in now times, right?
Hmm.
The business failed, and now they have the Ghostbusters podcast, and they're trying hard to get an audience.
Yeah.
And then you can just have Bill Murray and all of his merry friends like sitting at the table, and they don't have to go out running. They can just be their fucking selves and give the best
Yeah.
lines ever. And then you have Slimer there too, the fucking
Of
green ghost.
course.
Yeah,
You
he's got to
gotta.
be there.
You gotta
Yeah.
have slime.
And then they get like a haunted microphone, and then
Yeah.
like that microphone talks on there as well. Hollywood, call me. Come on.
Cinema. Peak cinema.
I guarantee I could get Scorsese to direct. He owes me.
He owes me a favor, and I am ready to call it in.
Scorsese wants the Oscar. I've got the script. Isn't that fucked up? Scorsese doesn't have an Oscar.
It is a little bit, but I don't know. At the same time, I'm not too surprised. Oh, no. I tried to look up Scorsese and I looked up sconces.
Sconces. I think that's a hate crime.
Like,
Wait, I think he did get an Oscar. Now that I look at this, best director for The Departed.
that sounds right.
Scorsese, you want the second Oscar? I got you.
I guess
Scorsese's
that's
got money.
my hot take for the day, I guess, is that while Scorsese is undeniably an exceptionally talented director, I don't think it should be too surprising that he hasn't won an Oscar at this point with, because a lot of it is luck and timing. And I'm very much of the opinion that none of his films are first in their class, if you know what I mean.
Um, I
They're
do know what
good,
you mean. Yeah,
undeniably good, but
yeah.
not the number one.
Goodfellas, though. I mean,
Mm, I don't know.
I'm
It's
not
good.
arguing. Yeah, like there's a lot of good in Scorsese's catalog.
hmm Like the Departed is also it's very good, no question. Let me double check. I'm curious if it was. 'Cause I know it won Oscars. Where that? Just take me to Wikipedia. I know it won Oscars, but no, they have a separate Wikipedia page for list of accolades received by The Departed.
Was it that good?
It's very good, yeah. The Academy Awards, it won for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Editing, and was nominated for actor or performance by an actor in a supporting role for of all people in this movie. Because right, this is what you have to keep in mind. This is a movie that has Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Martin Sheen, Ray Winstone, uh, like Alec Baldwin, Anthony Anderson, tons of people who are exceptionally good actors in their own right. The person nominated for best performance by an actor in a supporting role, Mark fucking Wahlberg.
What? No.
And I would say, if you were to watch it, you'd probably agree. It's I don't think it's a controversial thing to say. It's probably his personal best film. Like, it's Mark Wahlberg, so it's not exactly a tight competition, He's been very successful, but not necessarily the kind of person that you'd imagine is in conversation for, best of all time kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Scorsese did a really good job getting a good performance out of him.
Now,
But
Scorsese, if you're
on
offended by,
Scorsese,
oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, but on Scorsese, yeah, I've never been as fond of him as others seem to be.
Now, Scorsese, if you want to kick Kairo's ass, I can offer you to him. Just gotta direct my Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't this like their
But yeah,
Avengers
won
where like
Golden
Albert
Globe and sorry, I was gonna say won Golden Globe and the Oscar for Best Director.
is Frozen Empire? They're like Avengers where they get like the female team to meet like the reboot team.
No, but this is where they get the full new like kids team with all of the still surviving members of the original team.
Hmm. Why is there Ghostbusters kids team?
So I have not seen Afterlife, but from what I understand, one of them is the like granddaughter, I think, of Bill Murray's character, and they're out like on a farm, and there's ghost shit, and they find their grandfather's like ghost hunting gear, and they use it to fight off the ghosts that are attacking their ghost farm.
So this movie's under 2 hours, right?
Just yes.
Okay. I'm on the Wikipedia page, and there's way
Hmm.
too many fucking paragraphs in the plot.
Yeah, that was for Frozen Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I had heard, the line that stuck out to me in the first review I saw was that they described an aspect of it. The Frozen whole part of Frozen Empire was apparently one of approximately 15 subplots. So that doesn't surprise me.
Feels like it's overwritten. Oh, Slimer's in here. Yay.
Hmm.
I like Slimer.
Um,
He's my favorite Ghostbuster.
yeah.
Yeah, dude. He just comes in, he starts sliming all over the place.
Hmm. Of
Oh my god, there's going to be a sequel.
course it is. Made a bunch of money.
It's not even made its budget back yet. It's at
No,
61
no, I
million.
mean Afterlife.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Did in for a COVID-ish release, it made 130 million in the U.S. So it's like you only had to pay for Paul Rudd basically, right?
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that's like a particularly high bar.
I don't know. What do you think is the most Paul Rudd's ever been paid in a movie?
Most Paul Rudd's ever made a movie. I mean, it's probably the Avengers stuff,
Yeah,
realistically.
definitely.
Just like by default, I'd have to imagine probably his most recent Ant-Man movie would be my guess, just as a metric of, screen time and name recognition. I'm curious what else he's been in though. I'm not like super familiar with his filmography.
Paul Rudd.
Oh, well, it has to be Sausage Party, of course.
He was in fucking Anchorman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've seen Anchorman. I remember
Mm-hmm.
enjoying Anchorman. I cannot tell you anything about that movie other than Will Ferrell.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. He's a Night at the Museum. I forgot about that. It's like such a small little role. He was in both Anchorman movies, wasn't he? Yeah, he was in both of them.
It's a
Pretty
legacy
sure.
sequel, dude. You
Wait.
gotta get everybody in it.
Yeah, okay, there it is. I was like, wait, where did the first one go? Yes, he's in it. And he does fine in it, but I can't imagine he got paid particularly well for it. Like the whole movie only made apparently $84 million. That's actually a great example of the kind of movie that's just like does fine in the box office, particularly because of how many named people are in the cast. You'd want it to do more than 84 million domestically, but I'm sure it made double that in DVD sales after.
Oh yeah, streaming revenue too.
Yeah. Thankfully for Frozen Empire, though, there's not a whole lot else releasing this week. It's pretty much just it for this week's release. There's some other stuff coming up later in the week that's not come out yet. Well, I'm going to be very interested to talk about the Godzilla movie, just because I've seen Dune quite a few times, of course, and I saw the Godzilla trailer every single time. And the more times I saw that trailer, the more, because I realized from the first watching, it's like this is a bad trailer. Like not necessarily indicative of the movie, but just as trailers go, it's like put together poorly, if that makes sense.
Poorly edited.
And I'm yeah, like obviously, you're making a trailer, you have to take lines from other things and put them over scenes to, build tension and interest, and it is almost entirely ineffective in that regard,
Damn.
where things just don't make sense in the very tiny context that is being given, where it's like in the first scene, they show Kong with this stupid big metal glove thing, and then like 40 seconds later, they try to tell you like, "Oh my God, we have to help Kong by giving him this big metal glove thing that we've already seen him with."
Wait, so I thought you were talking about Godzilla minus one. We're talking about Kong and,
No, 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 Godzilla versus Kong or whatever the hell it is.
Kong 2.
What is it
I've
actually
seen
called?
Godzilla versus Kong 1.
Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, where it's like in the trailer there are continuity errors, and I have a feeling that given the title of it being Godzilla X Kong, they almost definitely should have leaned into the Godzilla versus Kong sort of imagery for the trailer because that'll put people in seats well enough. But instead, the actual movie has been completely given away by the trailers, where it's Godzilla and Kong teaming up against some other ape from a portal that appears.
You know, as one of the 3 people on this planet who's seen all the MonsterVerse movies and understands the plot, that
Yeah.
makes no sense.
No. No,
You
it
know,
doesn't.
you know what brought them together in the first fucking movie?
What's that?
Mechagodzilla.
Mm-hmm.
They fucking brought in Mechagodzilla. That shows me some level of fandom. Who the fuck is this red ape?
Have you seen the trailer for it?
I have not.
I recommend giving it a watch sometime, just out of like a morbid sense of curiosity to see just how much of the movie they give away. Like they leave nothing out of the trailer. It's like this girl is having visions of this portal and it's leading towards the same thing that Kong and Godzilla are seeing, to be drawn into the portal. Oh, what's the reason for that? Oh, well, she's actually from there because they just show her in like native people's clothing and face paint. It's like, okay, cool, sure, whatever. There's like this baby Kong thing that's clearly going to be what they try to get people suckered in with, the cute thing. Yeah, that's in the trailer too. Just no pulled punches at all.
Okay. One second. I need
It's
to
it's
look at
it's
this
kind of
trailer.
embarrassing.
As like the third biggest MonsterVerse fan out there,
Hmm.
I should watch this.
I feel really bad for Brian Tyree Henry. I don't know him by name, but he has a very memorable face who I have definitely seen in plenty of other works of his across the years. And it's like just listening to the lines that he's delivering in this trailer is just depressing because they're horribly written.
So I'm watching it, and Kong's glove looks like a fucking Autobot.
Yeah, it does. It looks like Bumblebee.
Yeah, it does. Look like Kong just picked
Hmm.
up Bumblebee and just like wears him now.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I know I give the MonsterVerse a lot of shit,
Hmm.
mainly because it's not very good.
Hmm.
I will say I do kind of fuck with the special effects here.
Oh yeah, they're very good. They're
Yeah.
very effective. Though I will say every time they show Godzilla running, it looks like shit.
Oh, there's
I
my
am
big
a
lizard.
I am a staunch believer that Godzilla should not run. Running is not in Godzilla's nature. That shows, for lack of a better term, too much agency.
I was
Godzilla
about
doesn't do things. Godzilla's just there and things happen.
the best Godzilla plots, right?
Mm.
Are how things react to Godzilla, not how
Yeah.
Godzilla reacts to things.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the baby monkey.
Mm-hmm. It's a little guy. It's a little cute guy. Look at the little guy.
He's a friend. That's a lot of big monkeys.
Yep. There's also no effective sense of scale in this, where Kong both looks like 1-to-1 Godzilla sized at times, and then also like about 12 feet tall. And it's really hard to figure out what the scale of anything is.
That's kind of my problem with this, because like I'm watching the part where like Kong fights Big Evil Ape,
Yeah.
and you can't get a grasp of like where oh that running animation does look terrible.
It looks so bad.
Godzilla's physiology isn't made for running.
No, no, it's not.
Yeah,
Or if he is gonna run, he should be on all fours
yeah.
because he's a fucking lizard.
He is
That's
a
what they
fucking
do.
lizard. He's supposed to be a lumber because he's not supposed to be like made to walk. He's walking
Yeah.
despite nature.
Like the other thing that I don't get is like there's a piece in the trailer I think I would have just seen where they like are clearly trying to heavily imply that like Godzilla is the one calling through the portal or something, and like Godzilla is the one that Kong is going to like hunt down and fight or something, but then they just also very clearly show Godzilla and Kong teaming up versus the red monkey dude. And it's like, what is
Yeah.
happening? What is the plot? If you're gonna give me this much plot, can you at least try to make it make sense? Because it doesn't.
So as a big MonsterVerse fan myself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I will say this. The trailer kind of reaffirms something I took away from Godzilla versus Kong.
Hmm.
Kong's a more interesting character than Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like not a bad thing. It's just a thing. Because like Kong gets the motivation. Kong gets like everything. Like he's the man. Godzilla is a force of nature that you have to put to sleep every 1,000 years. We should just watch these movies. Like these are so bad they're good movies. Have you seen King of
Holy shit.
Monsters?
God, I'd have to look up what's the franchise called? The MonsterVerse?
Yes.
I have definitely seen a number of them already. So I've seen Godzilla 2014. I've seen Skull Island. I
Skull Island's the
have
best one.
seen King of the Monsters. I don't think I've seen Godzilla versus Kong.
Damn.
I really like King of the Monsters, from what I remember. Just from
Really?
like a visual perspective, I thought it was really well shot for being so much CG. It did a really good job. Unless I may be thinking of a different Godzilla movie that came out around the same time, but I'm not sure.
No, I think that's what you're referring to because like that was like around the time we were getting out of college.
Yeah, it
Oh,
had really good, like fake camera work to show the scale of everything that was happening that felt often lacking in the Kong movies.
yeah. Like I'll say this: plot sucks. Cinematography is good. The
Mm.
effects are good.
Mothra design, I remember was really good.
Yeah, I like the monsters in King of the Monsters,
Yeah,
which is good because that's the only reason you watch these movies.
yeah. I'd be down for watching them again. It's been a little while, but I do. They're schlocky, and that's okay.
Yeah,
You
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 don't.
want to see big monsters punch each other, and that's fine. That's allowed.
I will say this right.
Hmm.
I will never understand how they got the cast for Skull Island.
Yeah, because
It's
it's
so
like
good.
kind of stacked.
It's Tom Hiddleston as the main lead,
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson as the
Hmm.
fucking antagonist, which is fucking amazing, by the way.
Hmm.
John Goodman, Brie Larson,
Hmm.
and I believe we have where is it? John C. Riley in here.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And there's a ton of character actors too, with Jason Mitchell, Shea Whigham,
It's just it's
Eugene
a
Cordero, all people with very memorable faces and good, kind of one note but memorable performances.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame the movie sucks.
Hey, I think it's not that bad. I think it's the best written out of all of them.
It's a low bar though.
It is basically Moby Dick, but with Big Monkey instead of whale.
Yeah. I do think it has some of the funniest scenes that were like intentionally funny, if that makes sense.
For a movie that could have just been a terrible King Kong ripoff, like,
Yeah.
just a retread of what we've already seen, I'm glad they did something original with Kong for once.
This is going to be a weird complaint. I think they made Tom Hiddleston too sexy for this, if that makes sense.
Correct.
It's like distracting. He's too clean. His clothing just doesn't quite make enough sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
No, I
weird.
agree.
Maybe it's just I've not seen the movie since like 2017 or whenever it was, and it's just this weird photo shoot that he looks like this for it. But it's really distracting.
Oh my god. It comes out this weekend, Kong and Godzilla,
Mhm. Yeah.
just
Oh
in
yeah.
time for Easter. I still need to see Godzilla -1.
Same. Apparently, the minus color one is also very good.
Really?
It's all black and white.
Good shit.
hmm It's going to be a bit of a slog until we get there, but I am pretty excited for the upcoming year of releases that we have.
What do we
There's going to be
got?
some really stiff competition. Well, so first of all, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, big release next week. Sorry, no, it releases on a Tuesday. What the fuck are they doing?
I'm very upset about that.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing. Though I guess to a point, that's kind of the point of it. It's about as cynical as you could possibly make it.
Like, it was fun for, like, a trailer. Like, if College Humor back in the day did that,
hmm
no one would bat an eye.
Yeah,
They made a whole movie out of it. People got a little annoyed.
yeah.
Now they want to make a fucking cinematic universe out of this shit? No. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Find Jesus.
Speaking of cinematic universe, apparently we're getting a sequel to Food Inc.
When is that?
So Food Inc. Let me see if I can. If there's like a good synopsis here. I very much remember it because it's a documentary, 2008, directed by Robert Kenner, examines corporate farming in the United States.
Nice.
It
I'll
is
be happy with that.
genuinely excellent. I have it on DVD. It's like a good enough documentary that I got it.
Okay, that's probably where I know it because I remember going through your DVDs once or twice.
Yeah. So apparently they're doing a sequel.
Nice.
Um, they are reuniting with the investigative authors from the first film to take a look at food systems, uh, revealing how corporate consolidation has gone unchecked by the government, leaving us with a highly efficient yet shockingly vulnerable food system dedicated only towards increasing profits. Seeking solutions, the film introduces innovative farmers, food producers, workers' rights activists, and prominent legislators such as Senators Cory Booker and John Tester, who are facing these companies head on to create a more sustainable future.
Cory
Neat.
Booker's doing something?
Apparently.
Holy fuck. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Otherwise, though, like actual releases, there are quite a few to look forward to in this next year. So I figure we just run through them real quick.
Hell yeah.
Civil War is coming up fairly soon here in April. I am highly skeptical of it, but I do think it's going to be a little bit fascinating just to see what actually it is when it releases.
I'll drink to that.
hmm God, man, Rotten Tomatoes, man, there's so much chaff now. The Fall Guy, upcoming, I guess Ryan Gosling movie.
One of the Ryans.
Ryan Gosling, yep. Um, look, I've seen a few trailers for this now, and it's very much action comedy, like he is inclined to do. But it seems like it's more in line with oh God, what's it called? Um, Ryan Gosling movies, The Nice Guys that he was also in, which was very good. So uh, kind of keeping an eye on that to see how it ends up because a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting re-releases. Where's the first one? Gone with the Wind is apparently going to be back in theaters. Steel Magnolias.
They want to get that Avengers Endgame highest grossing film money.
May 10th, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. A
Boo!
series that I am shocked continues, but is kind of fascinating that it does all the same.
I'm convinced it's like leaving like single-celled organisms in like a petri dish. As long as you
Hmm.
don't fuck with them, they'll start reproducing.
Yeah. Big fight in May. We have Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, releasing on May 24th. And on the same day, the Garfield movie.
Furiosa is what they'll call that weekend. That's the Barbenheimer this year.
That's the Barbenheimer. I am very much looking forward to Furiosa. The first trailer that we got looked a bit rough, but now that we have the more theatrical trailer, it actually looks really good. They've kept a lot of the similar cinematography from Fury Road, and the CG looks a lot better than the initial looks were. So, very optimistic for that. I'm hoping it does well.
Good shit.
Hmm. Oh, damn. Apparently, there's a bunch of Ghibli films getting re-released, which, makes sense. They do it every once in a while.
Yeah. I think Boy and the Heron's also coming back soon.
Hmm. Makes sense after, won the award.
I mean, why not?
Yeah. Strike while the iron's hot.
Be
Some
that
summer
victory.
movies to keep the kids happy. Inside Out 2, Despicable Me 4. Uh, the Borderlands movie is slated to come out August 9th. I'm
I
sure
still haven't
we're all
seen the
very
trailer.
excited for that.
I'm not.
Nope. Deadpool and Wolverine. That one I am excited for.
That I'm very interested in.
Hmm. Okay, this is one that apparently they have released an actual trailer for this. I'm gonna have to watch this at some point. But they have confirmed that the Alien movie titled Alien Romulus is going to be releasing in August.
Oh, what happened to Sherlock Holmes 3?
That's a good question. I'd imagine it probably never materialized.
Because that was supposed to be like a few years back, and we're still, like, waiting.
Hmm. See if I can find anything real quick. As of September 2023, the cast hadn't even been officially confirmed. And I'm not seeing much since then. There's a January 2024 article asking if it's actually coming out that has very few details, and I'm gonna assume the answer is no. Has an IMDb entry that somebody's made with a lot of presumed information because nothing's been announced yet. So seems like not this year.
We're never getting this damn movie, and I'm so excited for it.
No. Right. There's this Kevin Costner, Sam Worthington Western, a sequel to Horizon, an American Saga that visually looked kind of interesting, but haven't really heard anything about. Craven the Hunter, August 30th. I'm sure that'll be a banger.
Boo.
The Beetlejuice sequel, because of course.
I don't want Beetlejuice sequel, please.
And now we're getting into the point of the year where we have things have been announced, but we don't even have posters, so very limited information. Transformers One, uh, live action, Chris Hemsworth, Michael, or sorry, Keegan Michael Key, John Hamm, Lawrence Fishburne, ton of people named for it. Apparently, Chris Hemsworth is voicing Optimus Prime. It's a prequel, I suppose. Set on Cybertron. We'll see how that one ends up.
I can't wait for it to. Why isn't it just an animated movie?
Yeah, maybe it is. There's literally nothing. There's no pictures about it, so there's a chance that it is. This is the first I've heard about it. So, who's doing this one? DreamWorks has The Wild Robot coming out,
Okay.
animated, of course. Saw 11, the Joker sequel.
Oh, yeah, that looks kind of
Ven-
interesting.
Venom 3 is apparently still coming out this year. The Gladiator sequel, Moana sequel is scheduled for this year. has a short trailer announcing it. Much else. Um, the Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, has a piece of concept art that has been released for it. I'd be very skeptical if that actually releases this year, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Otherwise, now that we get into you know, Christmas time, there's quite a lot bunched up, but I think it's better to wait a bit on that because I'd be shocked if all of these release.
Fair, fair. Is
I'd
Sherlock Holmes
imagine
3
these
on that
are
list?
aspirational. No,
Oh,
no,
fuck.
Sherlock Holmes 3 isn't anywhere.
We're never getting that
But,
damn movie.
thankfully we have Thunderbolts listed for May 2nd, 2025.
I have no faith that movie's coming out on time.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the Captain America thing going on right now?
For Brave New World,
I think
I
that's what
think
it's
it's called.
called. Yeah.
Yeah, here it is.
Um,
No, I hadn't heard about it.
apparently Sebastian Stan confirmed he is not involved in that movie,
Mm,
which is weird because he's kind of a big part of that franchise.
yeah. Apparently they have a Harrison Ford.
Yes, he is confirmed for that movie.
Like Thaddeus Ross? What?
Yes. And you know who Thaddeus Ross is?
I thought I did. Yeah, I do know who it is. Why is Harrison Ford been cast for this all of a sudden? Did what? I don't understand.
We're getting a fucking red Harrison Ford, and it's going to be great. Thank you for asking.
Why did they recast him?
That's really weird too, isn't it? I think they're really hoping no one's
Yeah,
going to pay attention to the fact that Thaddeus Ross has been in here a long time.
yeah. Like he's been a notable character throughout the Avengers movies.
He was in Civil War. He was in fucking. I think he's in every Avengers movie.
I think so. Not like in a major way, but
Yeah, he at least
meaning
cameos.
he
He's like
has meaningful
Coulson.
scenes.
Yeah.
Wait, William Hurt. Yeah. Oh, William Hurt died. That would explain part of it. That's unfortunate. I was wondering if that was the case. And that's unfortunate, but I guess you do what you have to do. Why'd they pick Harrison Ford?
Money.
Have they seen anything he's done in the last 5 years? It
They
hasn't
really
been
liked his
inspiring.
5 minute scene in Rise of Skywalker.
I guess so. That's so expensive. Why
How
would you do?
much?
Marvel is usually really good about not doing that?
I'm convinced the Marvel we knew is gone.
I guess so. It's probably true.
Because, quite frankly, ever since Endgame, it's been like, it's like, imagine you have the Beatles, right?
Yeah.
They break up after, Abbey Road. Let It Be comes out, whatever. But then, like, another group comes in, calling themselves the Beatles, and the only one that's singing is Ringo Starr.
Hmm.
That's just not the same band, man.
No, it's not.
Oh, have you heard about the Beatles movies coming out?
No. Should I
Four,
have?
what?
Should I have?
Four different Beatles movies, one for each member.
Oh, God.
Beatles Cinematic Universe inbound, bro.
Well, I'm sure it's gonna make all the fucking money.
I will go see every one of them.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people will.
People have been making some pretty fucking good memes on it, too.
I believe that's the gist of the entertainment stuff we have, though.
Oh no, this is where it gets sad.
It's not too bad this week. It's really more amusing than anything, and there's not a ton.
Well, go on.
We'll get through the actual bleak stuff first, though. There was a massive terrorist attack in Russia,
Oh yeah.
officially claimed by ISIS, seemingly very credibly. So it's not just for show, but at least four people and up to 11 have been either killed or arrested in connection with a shooting at a Moscow concert hall where more than 130 people now have died and dozens more injured as a result. In addition, the concert hall was lit on fire with some sort of liquid propellant, so not just incidental, very intentionally, causing severe damage. Took a long time for them to put it out. Um, and to say the very least, this is very tragic. You know, these are people just trying to mind their own business, and uh, regardless of the atrocities that the Russian government has been perpetrating, um, the exact, it's ISIS, right?
Yeah.
There's no sympathy to be gained there.
Quite frankly, I think they don't know who they're fucking dealing with because Russian government does not care about the poors.
Yes, very true. And we have seen that in spades through their inevitable response to it,
Yeah.
where because the shooters initially escaped and were able to flee from the concert hall itself, and there was a manhunt for about a day chasing them down. The Russian government, in the wake of that, has claimed that these ISIS terrorists were trying to flee to Ukraine where they had some sort of contact.
I'm about to throw up. I'll be right back.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up to be frank.
That
There
is.
is basically no actual evidence to confirm that other than the fact that they were in Moscow and as they were driving they started to go west. And thankfully, as the BBC points out in their reporting, they just as easily could have been trying to head into Belarus, where, there's not minefields and an active invasion happening on the entire border.
Now, what
Or
you're
they could
doing
have just
there is
been
making
running to run.
sense. Yeah.
But that has not stopped Putin and his government from trying to make those pretty horrible claims.
I'm about to scream. That's the worst thing I've heard in a very long
Hmm.
time.
Yeah, so there you go. That's the Russian government's response to this is to try and twist it into a I don't know how you call it, further, reason for them to continue their uh
Propagandizing. I
yeah,
mean, yeah.
fodder to support the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, pretty horrible situation all around.
Just gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling of dread.
Hmm. And for the other piece of like kind of serious news is a bit of a follow because I think we briefly talked about the situation last week. The royal family has officially announced that Kate Middleton has been out of the public eye for longer than expected following her surgery this past December, which actually ended up happening in January, which explains a fair bit, because she has been diagnosed with cancer, which is very sad.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I have seen a non-zero number of people on social medias go like, okay, in hindsight, we definitely went too far in the basically bullying that happened as a result of the very poorly thought out photo shoot and pictures that were released in that situation. But you know that the worst of the people who were creating and spreading conspiracy theories will still be the ones lacking empathy because
Social.
empathy didn't get them into that situation to start with, right?
I mean, yeah. Social media and politics are like the worst combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens with this. Hopefully, she's a mother of three fairly young children, and it would be, incredibly tragic for anyone to be in that situation.
The
Hopefully,
only
her treatment goes well. Makes sense that she's going to be remaining out of the public eye as they've announced that she's expecting to start chemotherapy treatment soon, and nobody should have to be thrust into the paparazzi in the best of circumstances, let alone while you're undergoing chemo. So yeah.
It's got to be
Not much more to
hard.
say other than that, but yeah.
Yeah. It's got to be hard married to the royals, you know?
Hmm.
Because, like, one, you're always under scorn. And two, it's not like you were raised in that environment, so you're
Yep.
acclimated to it.
Yeah. Particularly for people like her who marry into that lifestyle.
Yeah, because, like, that's like the only part of the royal family I can, like, humanize a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, can we talk about the Charles situation?
I suppose so.
Charles went missing on social media for like a 5 minutes and people thought he was dead.
Yeah. He is also going through cancer treatment.
Yeah.
So, you know, not like there's no reason for people to possibly think that. But yeah, I believe the industry term for that is a knee-jerk reaction.
Dude, social media just loves to fucking like fan the flames just to have something to talk
Hmm.
about. Because the moment you don't have anything to talk about, you realize you should probably go outside and touch grass. Do we have anything else we'd like to talk about?
I do think it's worth pointing out here. I didn't want to mention it because it's mostly, you know, kind of silly and amusing more than anything. But we got a real humdinger this week where Alex fucking Jones came out on social media and, in no uncertain terms, talked about how Israel has lost their high ground with respect to the situation in Palestine and that they are committing a mass genocide.
No
I didn't
shit.
want to talk about this because Alex Jones is a fucking twat and deserves no attention at all for the rest of his life. And the only reason that this statement was noteworthy is because he is such a gigantic piece of shit. And somehow we're in the situation now where Alex Jones, the biggest piece of human shit in the world, is more capable of admitting reality than many other, individuals in our world, particularly news publications.
This is like one of those times where Alex Jones is like the correct
Mm-hmm.
independent voice, not being spurred on by like
Yep.
popular opinion.
And I do want to point out here, because I'm
Yeah.
on the BBC's homepage, getting
Yeah.
some of the information about the Zelensky attack. And I want to point out that on the BBC's fucking homepage, as of this very moment, with regard to their coverage of Israel and or Palestine in general, they have offered what I would consider, in like newspaper terms, a like 16th little header piece talking about an opinion piece that was written by one of their Middle Eastern correspondents about whether, the current status of Palestinian politics and what it looks like for them.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they've given a quarter-page spread to the Jewish biscuit that commemorates survival, talking about the dramatic tale of Purim and biscuits called Hamantashen.
That seems a little bit slanted.
No, you don't say. So I didn't want to bring it up because I've been very intentionally just not talking about this kind of stuff because it is almost not newsworthy at this point with how little worth there is talking about the actual news that is being made and reported on. The situation is pretty black and white. There's not a whole lot left to be said about it at this point, you know? So, but yeah, good job BBC. You fucked it up and made me mad.
That's so sad. We've been practically sponsored by the BBC all these years too.
I know. I will say it has been uh fascinating and makes a lot of sense thinking on it more, seeing the response of Ireland's government to the situation in Palestine compared to their contemporaries in other nations. Contemporaries, there, no, that's the wrong term. Their peers in other nations.
I mean,
So very
Ireland's
interesting.
the only part of like the UK that's not shoved up its own ass. Please go on.
Mm. Well, I mean, they also are a nation that was built out of being oppressed by a foreign nation that believed themselves to be, at a very literal level, like morally, implicitly superior.
Yeah,
The Troubles were only 40 years ago.
that's
This
so
is
recent.
not, sorry, 30. The Good Friday Agreement was in 1998. We were alive for it. So
Were
this is
we?
like, yeah,
We were. Holy shit.
yeah, this is very recent. It's difficult even to call it history at that point. So, yeah, like as an example that I think puts it into good perspective, would you expect American politics to still feel the influence of 9/11, right?
No, that's exactly where my mind went. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, you absolutely would. So it makes complete sense for Irish politics to be heavily, maybe not influenced by, but aware of the hardships that their country went through for the better part of 40 years.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's so weird to think that's not even. It's not even 30 years ago.
No. With that, let's get to the funny Trump headlines
Oh, thank Christ!
because we got some
Whenever
doozies.
whenever we talk about the Israel Palestine situation, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm tempted to drink a little bit more tonight, and I
Yeah.
don't drink.
So,
Yo,
Trump owes the state of New York, well, owes maybe the wrong word, has had a judgment issued against him by the state of New York in an ever growing amount, currently to the tune of approximately $450 million, including interest. This last week, we had a bit of a flurry of headlines coming out of the Trump side as they scramble to find ways to not do that. Starting this past, I think it would be Monday, where Trump's lawyers filed a 5,000 page, I guess it'd be a brief, requesting a stay by the appeals court in the civil fraud case because Trump does not have the money to pay the bond.
tough shit.
From his lawyers, Trump has been unable to get the bond for $464 million judgment, finding it to be a practical impossibility. This is noteworthy because his lawyers and Trump testified during the case that Trump had on hand approximately $400 million in liquid assets.
Hmm, that's interesting.
Isn't it? A day later, Trump said that he'd have to hold a fire sale of all of his properties in order to meet the $464 million bond, to which he was generally met by the sane portions of the population with the sentiment of, go ahead then, please do. 2 days later, New York Attorney General Letitia James has started to file the paperwork in, oh shoot, which county is this? Westchester County, indicating the Attorney General's taking the first steps to prepare to seize Donald Trump's golf course and private estate in north of Manhattan, known as Seven Springs. One day later, Trump has suddenly claimed that he has cash to cover the New York fraud bond.
So proud of you, Donnie.
Now, whether or not that is actually true remains to be seen. He hasn't put up the money yet. Uh, he only has claimed that he has, which is particularly troubling because not 5 days prior in court, his lawyers claimed he didn't have the money.
He
So
had liquid assets, bro.
either either way now, we
Yeah.
either in the situation where Trump has now lied twice, or Trump has lied to his lawyers and caused them to lie as well. And we have no idea which way it's going to go. And it has resulted in this great headline posted today by what's the writer for this one? Liz Dye, where we have Trump has the money for a bond. He'd just rather the state seize his assets than use that money. which,
Well,
yeah,
he
makes
needs
no
that for
sense because
campaigning.
all of his assets are extremely leveraged in debt purposes. And the actual revenue from the sales of them would be extremely low. Because even if, like, as an example, right, Trump Tower, let's say it is worth $300 million. If Trump has leveraged that property for $250 million worth in debt, the state of New York seizes it, sells it for $280 million less than it's worth. They still have to give the money that goes to the debtors first. So that sale of that one property would only, in that example, net 30 million of the 450 that he actually needs to accrue in order to meet these debts. And another key part of this that's been talked about this week is that even if on appeal, uh, some extra details come out about this, the state of New York at this point, as of, or what will be tomorrow, if there is no further judgment that stays their doing so, the state of New York can start to take possession of and sell Trump's assets. If an appeal does happen at that point, the state of New York will have to turn over the proceeds from those sales, but the actual ownership of the properties could still remain with the eventual purchasers if it gets to that point. So even if Trump, wins in this case, he could still lose the properties that he had either way if he doesn't act, quickly enough, which at present time, it doesn't seem like he is.
And all this because he wanted to become fucking president. Well, run for
Hmm.
president. Oh well.
In other good news, Peter Navarro has reported to prison on his contempt of Congress conviction.
Go on. Please go on. That's
I'm
quick
curious.
news. Yeah.
Um, I don't remember what his sentence was. Doesn't say it in the article. I'm gonna have to Google it.
Like a savage.
4-month prison sentence for contempt of Congress.
Lame.
Yep, slap on the wrist. But given how much he squirmed to get to this point, it does seem like it's been at least somewhat offensive or effective. Excuse me.
Effective. What if Donnie finally goes to jail, right?
Hmm.
But the judge ends up only sentencing him for like a month. How would you feel?
It depends on the case.
Say it's the month of November.
No, no, no. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think the timing of it particularly matters.
Okay.
It would very much depend on the specific case involved.
Oh, you meant
Like,
like the actual like
yeah, like the
yeah.
actual charges, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's particularly the Florida documents handling case, I think that would be unacceptable.
Yeah.
The ramifications that could have happened from that, or that likely already did happen, are far too great for a month to be a fair punishment by any counts. But if you look at like Georgia outside of the scope of the RICO aspect of it and the conspiracy, just Trump's attempting to manipulate the Georgia election by calling the governor and requesting that happening,
Yeah.
that specific element of it, I think that would not be the most unreasonable. There's obviously like a dozen other charges on top of that that also have to be decided in that case. But thankfully, I guess you could look at it one way or the other. Most of these federal, well, pretty much all of these federal charges and most state charges, the judges don't have that much leeway in terms of sentencing as one might expect, right? Where they can pretty much do whatever they want in terms of reduced sentencing, but they rarely do because there have been panels that have gone ahead of time and said, this is what we think a fair punishment is for these charges, taking into account things like how many crimes were committed in conjunction with this. If this is a singular thing, is it part of a larger scheme? Is this a repeat offender? Those are also elevating things. So there's few circumstances where that could happen, and if it did, it would be highly controversial, just on its face because of the like mandatory minimums kind of reasoning.
Okay. Yeah.
Timing wise, though, if you want to talk like what would be the worst month for Trump to have to serve a 1 month prison sentence, I think it would really be like September or October, not actually November. Because then he can't campaign. And if he
Yeah.
can't be on the trail, he is fucked.
I think that's really the only thing that's keeping him going at this point. It's like a
Yeah.
combination of adrenaline and just needing to be on the
Yeah.
trail.
It is going to be a particularly fascinating election season just from a money perspective, I think, because we know many state Republican committees are broke, if not bankrupt, in the case of Michigan's. We know the RNC itself has lost huge amounts of money subsidizing Trump's legal cases, and that it's gotten to the degree that other Republican candidates are breaking rank because they're realizing that they won't have enough money or as much money as they expected to do their campaigning. And we'll have to see how it ends up, but it is not unreasonable to think that with as influential as money is in politics as far as elections go, the Democrats, in particular Joe Biden, could just crush the Republicans just on a money slate, on a money perspective, right? If you can just outspend them, 4 or 5 times to one, doesn't really matter at that point what your politics are because the average person just doesn't really pay that close of attention.
Yeah.
You just smear the other guy harder.
I am very curious how local politics here are going to be, especially with
Mm-hmm.
like as we've said a million times before, because it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
GOP in Michigan not exactly doing well.
No, it's been pretty bad.
I argue right now, Kyril,
Hmm.
we could make our own political party, and
Yeah, we could.
we would have one more funding. We would have better organization, more cohesion, and all else. Like a third party right now would just have on paper a better chance. Granted, we don't have the branding, but give us a day. Give us a day or two.
Hmm. We'll get there.
Yeah, we just got to create a moral panic. Speaking of moral panics, did you know there's a Monsterverse coming out this week? If you vote for our party, we'll stop that.
We'll stop the MonsterVerse.
Yeah, we'll stop the Monsterverse. That's our platform.
That's our platform. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's a very reasonable platform.
Hmm.
We've got too much violence on our screens, ladies and gentlemen. Big Monkey versus Big Lizard. Iron Man versus Captain America. Where does it stop?
Yeah.
I'll tell you where it stops, right? At the Schmo party.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Vote my man Kyril into office. Get Whitmer out. Take him over. And then send me to the Congress. We'll take him out. There we go. I win.
Done and done.
Done and done. Done and dusted. That is the best political ad this side of the Democratic Party. I feel like I'm about to die. Oh my gosh. I wonder how lobbyists are going to handle all this. Because,
That's
like,
their problem.
yeah, but I mean, that's a very compromised party going on right now. They could just have
I
a fucking field
suppose,
day. Yeah,
but it's not that new.
you're right.
Unfortunate that that's the situation, but it kind of is.
You don't get this way overnight. It's been coming. What else do we have to talk about, Cairo?
That is the gist of what I have. Bit of a slow week. We have some details in the Stormy Daniels hush money case that have apparently been pretty, bombshell headline kind of newsworthy stuff, but they could be pretty damning for Trump's situation in it.
How so?
But I'm not a lawyer, so I don't really like it's apparently just been the circumstance where Trump appealed certain evidence being admitted, from what I understand, and it was ruled against him. So I believe that's like certain testimony from Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels in particular will be allowed that Trump was trying to have blocked.
Another L on the Trump train.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, just thinking back this week, Apple is in the eyes of the DOJ for antitrust kind of shit, which is kind of
That
interesting.
very interesting to me because as a Android user in a
Mm-hmm.
household full of iPhone users,
Mm-hmm.
I feel that. I
Yeah.
feel like that difference.
So we'll have to see how it actually ends up. But from the analysis that I've seen of it so far, it sounds very reminiscent of the Microsoft antitrust case when they were pushing Microsoft Internet Explorer so very heavily back in the early 2000s. And like that, it'll probably be a pretty drawn out process that will end in a settlement rather than an actual decision. But the fact that it has started at all is pretty noteworthy, to say the least.
I think Apple's just nowhere near as powerful as it used to be.
Hmm. Well, it's
What?
tricky, right?
Yeah.
Because they're still exceptionally powerful just on a financial side of things, right? They have all the fucking money.
But where is it spent, good sir?
Well, no, it's not. Apple has. I mean, I'm curious what it is now. Uh, they're one of the few companies out there. They claim in their financial filings that they currently have $162 billion in cash on hand,
Hmm.
which is obscene.
I don't know if I trust that number.
It is done through the appropriate channels. Um, and to be fair, it is substantially, I believe. Yeah, I believe it is net down from where they were in recent years, but it is yeah, they peaked nearly $300 billion in 2018.
That sounds
So
about
it's
right.
down pretty precipitously from that point, but it is still a fuckload amount of money. For perspective, um, that is greater than the market valuation, not their cash on hand, but greater than the market valuation of Twitter, Snapchat, Airbnb, Sony, Uber, and Time Warner combined.
You had me until you said Time Warner, and now I'm
Yeah,
just kind of amazed by that.
yeah. Apple has that in cash on hand.
Oh God.
So they have obscene amounts of money at their disposal.
That kind of just hurts my head thinking about that.
That's an older comparison. For a more up to date one, that is currently uh, the same amount as the entirety of Egypt's external debt. It is the same as the total exports of the nation of Qatar in 2022. It is the combined GDP of Venezuela and Belarus.
America has so much fucking money through it, flowing through it.
Yeah.
And fucking kids can't afford lunches.
Hmm. They
Sorry,
could
like,
buy Nike and Ferrari and have a few $1 billion left over to buy Manchester United.
oh my god.
It's I really think obscene is probably the best way to describe it. It's very gross
Can we
that
talk
that's
about Boeing?
allowed to happen. We can, I guess.
Because Boeing's been on a fucking roll lately.
Yeah.
Like,
A roll down.
kudos to you, my friend. Because like when we first talked about the Boeing story,
Hmm.
like before John Oliver even went to it, I didn't
Yeah.
think too much of it at the time, other than the initial newsworthiness of it.
Hmm.
But holy fuck, it's been developing.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it's fucking very bad. Like, why? Like, so there was the John Oliver report, which I think really
Yep.
got everybody's attention. But
It got a lot of more people for sure.
yeah, but John obviously has his own inspirations
Yeah.
that may be in this room. We're not actually in the same room. Maybe in this Discord call. Um,
Mm.
but like since then, there was that fucking whistleblower that committed suicide.
Yeah. That situation is very, very tragic.
Yeah.
And
What?
I don't know. Like with any high profile, what is likely an actual suicide, there's tons of conspiracy revolving around it. People who have gone from saying that they think Boeing just applied enough pressure to this guy over the years that he, his mental state deteriorated and he committed suicide, which is probably more accurate than not, to those outright saying that he, that Boeing hired somebody to have this guy killed, like some kind of a movie, which is almost certainly not the case.
Yeah.
He died in a hotel parking lot in perfect illumination with cameras and shit. There's just not that much room for questions about what happened, especially in someone in as stressful of a situation as he has been for years.
He had the weight of the
So
world on his shoulders for a second.
it,
Not
it
like,
definitely can appear that way, and I'd imagine it probably felt that way for him. But the reality with his case was that it was pretty isolated from the rest of Boeing's problems.
really.
Because Boeing's safety problems were at the heart of his case, and there likely would have been, and there still may be, a number of details that would have came up through the course of that case proceeding that Boeing would have been very unhappy about having to come to public light. But the reality of his situation wasn't that his case was about the whistleblowing; it was about false termination.
Yeah.
And more, not sorry, false termination isn't correct. It was that because he had gone on to whistleblow following his voluntary early retirement from Boeing, he claimed that Boeing was preventing him from getting a career in the aerospace industry with Boeing's competitors and partners, not Boeing itself,
Fair
which
enough.
is a much less glamorous claim, but also makes a lot of sense and would be difficult to prove in a way that could constitute damages worthiness, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of an open secret that these industries that are valuable but not that big all kind of collude, right? Like
The oligarchy.
big win for American healthcare this week. Biden administration has apparently negotiated for $35 inhaler prices after
What?
they're able to successfully convince the three of the four major companies that they reasonably knew that they were basically colluding on the prices. Let me see if I can find a quick article about this. And it's like, you know, not like the most groundbreaking news, but it's huge for the people that it impacts.
Yeah. I think that's a huge one,
AstraZeneca
actually.
capping out-of-pocket costs for inhalers and related medication at no more than $35 per month, the drug maker announced on Monday. British pharma giant said that the savings are intended to help vulnerable patients with asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, especially those without health insurance. Price cap takes effect on June 1st. Follows the launch of an investigation by the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, in which Democratic senators and Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, an independent who caucuses with the Democrats, wrote to four major inhaler companies asking them to lower prices. Sanders released a statement Monday congratulating AstraZeneca and urging other companies to follow suit. The other two leading manufacturers, GlaxoSmithKline and Teva, have not agreed to a price cap. I believe since that has changed for some of them.
Interesting.
Lawmakers have pointed to sizable differences in inhaler copays between the United States and Europe. For example, GlaxoSmithKline charges $319 for Advair HFA, a prescription inhaler in the United States, compared with $26 in Britain. If AstraZeneca and Boehringer Ingelheim can cap the cost of inhalers at $35 in the United States, these other companies can do the same. Glaxo spokesperson said in an email that the company, quote, has a strong track record of responsibly pricing medicines while creating solutions that provide patients with access to scientific breakthroughs.
Neat.
Teva did not respond to comment. This is coming from a Washington Post article detailing the situation.
Huh.
I believe one of the two, because what I heard was three of the four major ones had agreed to the $35 price cap. So I believe since this was posted on March 18th, I believe one more has also fallen in line with the $35 limit. Yes, GSK has also agreed as of 3 days ago. There it is. So yeah, that's huge. And it's, kind of gone under the radar. But it'll be really, another thing that'll be fascinating to see in this election cycle. The Biden administration has been really good about doing these kinds of things, and hopefully they will be able to better demonstrate in their campaigning that the Biden administration and Democrats in general are the ones responsible for these changes that are having noticeable real impacts on what people are spending. Because these are good, but I would not at all. I would be more surprised if these companies didn't try to pass it off as some act of goodwill on their own part and not by being pressured from Democratic senators that with the threat of investigating them for price fixing. So, yeah.
Yeah. I can't breathe.
I know someone you can call and give $35 to for a fix to that.
Holy shit. It's like that's what politics are for.
Mm-hmm.
But can they just make my taxes zero? I don't feel like paying taxes. I didn't hear no.
The quickest way to get your taxes down to zero is to get your income down to zero,
Genius.
which is like actually kind of true.
Now, if I donated all my money into tax deductible donations,
Mm-hmm.
would that be a lot of free money?
So, from what I understand, you would need to first establish a charitable organization not in your name, but that is still owned by yourself wholly, right? That's step one. Then you put pretty much all of your money that you have into that charitable organization pre-tax.
Yep.
The charitable organization then is allowed to spend that money on its facilities and accommodations for its employees. Pre-tax, of course. So at that point, you could, in theory, use your charitable organization to buy whatever property you want without having to pay taxes on it, and use that property for the purposes of the charity, of course. Uh, and then also by providing, various accommodations to your employees, which you happen to also be one of. And from what I understand, that's all completely legal.
This is not legal advice, right? Like not legal financial advice.
No, no, this is of course not legal advice, but if you want to talk to somebody about it, you can talk to Elon Musk because he gave a pretty substantial charitable donation. Um, where did it go? Uh, to charities that he owns in his name that go to fund things like his children's school.
That's pretty fucked up.
A little bit, you'd think, but no. Apparently, it's totally legal because that makes sense.
I fucking hate this country sometimes.
Hmm. Yeah, it's not great.
Do we have anything else we'd like to go over today other than, nailing Elon to the wooden cross again?
Yeah, not particularly. That's kind of the well, all that I have. Um, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I watched the Formula One race in Australia last night because it aired at like midnight,
Yeah.
and it was a doozy. It's the first time in something like 44, 45 races that Max Verstappen ended up with a did not finish because he had brake problems on the first lap that like his brakes like very literally and pretty spectacularly exploded.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So he's been terrorizing the rest of the field for like the last 2.5 years now. So having him just completely out of the race gave a lot of shots for the other people further down the grid. Made for an interesting event.
But did they have fun?
The people who won seemed to because they weren't Max. It was very funny. I don't know if this is true or not, but Verstappen is apparently very big on sim racing. And allegedly, because he went out in like lap three, so there's like another hour and a half of the race to go after that point. Apparently, he was spotted on Discord playing the racing sim that he streams by like lap 30 out of 58.
That's
So
absolutely
he,
fucking
he
hilarious.
crashes out, cleans up, does his media duties right away before the race ends, goes back to the hotel, and just starts playing racing games, which is quite based.
That's how you know he's a champion, though.
Yeah. People joke that he is a part-time Formula One driver in order to support his sim racing career, even though he's like the two-time world back-to-back world champion now. Two-time, three-time, something like that. But it's very funny. He apparently, I don't want to say harasses, but it's funnier if I do. It's apparently he harasses hotel staff whenever he gets to somewhere new when the hotel Wi-Fi isn't good enough because he can't stream his sim racing.
Is he like the real life version of that Gran Turismo kid?
Kind of, but like reverse.
Yeah. They never said a racer could be a gamer.
Yeah.
In that case, I'm Miss Orion and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Cairo, and I'm a gamer.
And this has been the Two Gamer Show. Society hates us.